Everybody, I'm Joel, and I'm here in my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots and all the swag on the wall. My God, where did all that swag come from? Who would fill their wall with Dryden swag? Oh my goodness. What a crazy world with all the Dryden swag. This is the Dryden Experiment Weekly Hangout, and as you can see, I've collected my swag because, boy, I've got a lot of it. So I'm going to talk for just a second about who we are and what we're doing, and then we'll get into the fine folks who are hanging out here with us and talk about Dryden for the week. So the Dryden experiment is this idea that we can take environments, mostly our science fiction environment right now, but we've begun working on post-apocalypse environment, horror environments, other environments, and we are creating fiction environments. But then what we do, instead of a sort of a conventional publishing model, is we put those environments under the Creative Commons BYSA 4.0 license. And anybody else on the planet, is totally free to come in and work on that environment, build that environment, develop that environment. Russell's going to talk about his particular take on that here in a few minutes. And you're completely free to do that, provided that you also make the materials that you create available under the BYSA 4.0 license also. And then all of us who work in those environments cross-promote each other. We put up T-shirts, we make posters. It's a great adventure. We have a lot of fun. We really develop cool environments. And we are all now participating in these universes that we've made that are far bigger. Hey, Dawn, where did that mug come from? What a lovely mug you're drinking out of. Isn't that a great-looking mug? What a great-looking
guys,
mug.
I also drink coffee.
Do you have a mug like my mug?
I do not have a mug like your mug. That is a fine, beautiful mug.
Is that not a fine mug? Dawn, let's see your mug.
Where can a fellow get a beautiful mug?
Such a beautiful mug. Oh, look. Oh, Dawn's has everybody's name on the other side of it who is a part of the Rise of the European. What a fabulous thing. Oh, swag is great. This swag courtesy of Daniel Hunt, by the way. Thank you, Dan. You've made a lot of poor coffee drinkers very happy.
You're welcome.
All right, so I lost where I was in the story. Oh, so what we do then is that Tracy and a fellow named Gavin Revitt and I run a small publishing company on the side, and people who create in the universe are free to publish through whatever means they would like, or they can come to Dryden House. It's really very open and theoretically separate, not too separate at the moment, obviously, because we're very small. But we do have people who publish on their own in the Dryden universe, and then we have people who publish with Dryden House. And we get together once a week to talk about what's going on. And we have Tracy Vincent, who is the editor with Dryden House, here with us tonight. We also have Russell Sawyer, who is the runner of MoteCon and a very cool guy involved in Dryden in a lot of different ways. Don Van Osdal, who runs SCon and has published several times with Dryden House now. And Daniel B. Hunt, who has several books in Dryden. How is everybody this evening?
I'm well.
Tracy as well. Don gives us a thumbs up. Everybody else gives us a thumbs up. I'll tell you what I would like to do, we have several projects working that are either not in Dryden House now or are not coming to Dryden House at all. So before we start talking about Dryden House things, I just kind of like to stop and let folks who are working on things in the Dryden experiment, but not necessarily through House, kind of have the floor for a minute. Russell, you have an exciting new project coming that may or may not come to House. We think it's coming to House, but we're not sure. You want to talk about what it is that you're working on?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Joel. And for the record, yes, it's coming to House.
It's coming to House.
Let's make it official out here in the open. Coming out of the closet with it. It's coming to Dryden House. Okay?
We all coming out of the closet this week.
That's right. Well, you're in the hot pink bedroom, man. It's kind of,
Right.
Never mind.
Don asked me once if there was something I wanted to tell everyone, and I was like, Don, I think you're the only one who hasn't figured it out.
So what I'm working on outside of the convention stuff that I'm always putting together is a supplement for Owlman Press's great RPG, sci-fi RPG, Big Damn Dryden, which is built off of his mechanic from his previous game, Big Damn Sci-Fi.
That's right.
The supplement I'm working for is I'm introducing transhumanist concepts into the Dryden universe.
So let's pretend for a minute, Russell, like I don't know what transhumanism is. Just pretend. and explain it as if I were a third grader.
Okay. Let's see if I can get down my third grade brain. Okay.
Just
Let's see
pretend like
here.
you're talking to me.
No, we won't go there, mate. But look, transhumanism. When in 1990, when the internet went public, people started talking about how we could utilize emerging technologies to improve the human condition and also improve humanity physically, emotionally, psychologically as a whole.
Okay.
And this has grown and developed as our technology has been advancing.
Right on.
And what I'm doing is I'm taking concepts that these developers are coming up with, and even just other sci-fi authors or other big thinkers have imagined, hey, we might end up doing XYZ one day, and I'm introducing them into Big Damn Dryden, and also, I guess at the same time into the Dryden universe as a whole.
Right. Yes.
Like big example is artificial intelligence. I've
Right.
noticed a lack thereof in anyone's writing.
Right.
And I've had that. Well, why is there no AI in 2503?
Well,
And my solution was we don't need it, because you have people that we now have the technology at this point will have the ability to completely store a consciousness, a living human consciousness, in digital media.
right, which is something that's coming within our lifetimes.
Right. I mean, the next 20, 30 years, maybe at the most 50, but it's constantly going to be in development. So in
Right.
2503, it should be pretty solidly perfected, where you don't need an artificial intelligence, you would have a genuine human digital intelligence.
Right on. Well, that idea excites me a lot, and I look forward to hearing more. Any other teasers coming out of that project? Things we might want to be on the lookout for?
Oh, no, I don't want to give it all away, mate. Come on.
All right, there you go. Oh, fair enough. And I believe that we have had a commitment this week to MoteCon 5 happening next year. Is that correct?
As of yesterday, the gavel hit. I guess the gavel went down and the decision was made that we are going to be doing a MoteCon 5. I'm going to take a couple of months off to get my stress levels back down to normal.
Right.
Because the nervous breakdown I had planned for the day before the convention didn't happen until the day of, and so we're gonna recover from that and start putting together MoteCon 5. We're planning bigger and better, even more organized and structured and planned. Even though I think I planned every possible nuance. But yeah, we're also gonna be supporting, hoping to support our chosen charity for these events to an even greater level.
Which is Wags for Tags.
Which is Wags for Tags.
It's epic. Anybody wants to make virtual donations,
Check out, go to their Facebook page, facebook.com/Wags for Tags, or you can go to their actual website, wagsfortags.org.
And that's Wags and the number 4, right?
The number
Wags
4
tags, right?
Or you can find a link to their sites from motecon.com or our Facebook entity, facebook.com/motecon.
Awesome. And just as a super quick intro, Wags for Tags matches shelter dogs with returning veterans with PTSD and other issues. So it's a really great program, and we're excited to be behind it. Well, let's make a commitment to have at least one Dryden author, artist, or other celebrity type figure appear at MoteCon next year. Surely by this time next year we can make that happen.
That would be awesome, guys. I welcome any of you. I'm not going to put any pressure on you to twist the arms of Gavin or Nick, but that trip across the pond might be a bit hard for both of them.
Nick is 12 time zones away. If he were any further away, he'd be closer.
I got a birthday greeting from Nick from the future. because my birthday happened a day ahead of time for him before it did me.
That's right. When he attends our Saturday night meetings, he does it Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. It's pretty interesting. All right, then the other person we've got with us who is very active in Dryden outside of Dryden House, off on his own, is Dan Hunt. Dan, you want to introduce yourself and talk about the things that you've got going on, and even if they're not Dryden related, but just other coolness that you're a part of, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about Dryden. That's easier.
Okay.
So my giveaway for the novel Eclipse of Cyrus C just ended. So I had 25 lucky winners from all over the United States. Got all that stuff in the mail for them. So, and I personally don't know any of them. So.
Oh, awesome! That's exciting.
And then I think close to 400 people added the book on Goodreads or put it on their shelf to read, which is, I don't know any of them either, which is great. It's not
Very
like
cool.
my mother, my cousins, and my second cousins doing it.
Right, right.
They're legitimate, real people.
Actual strangers.
And then I'm still working on my next short story collection. It's at the line editor still. I expect it won't come back until after the holidays.
Right, right.
It's normally 3 to 4 weeks anyway. So.
Right on, right on. And those are all short stories in the science fiction universe.
And, just kind of an interesting thing about process is that, I ran up with a snag on the title of the work, which apparently 3 other people have used that I can find, so I have to change it.
Right.
But in that thinking process, I decided to rewrite one of my scenes in my last story, which.
To fit the title.
No, just because I've killed a lot of people, and I'm going to unkill somebody.
Oh.
Never unkill them.
Yeah, I'm unkilling them.
That's what happens in soap operas. Right on. Okay. Well, that's very cool.
It fits the story trajectory better if I do that. So.
Well, and what is the name of the collection now, Dan, so that we can look forward to it?
I don't know. I'm still arguing with myself, so I've got some time to figure it out.
All right. Well, we're going to call it Project to be named later. One of the exciting things about Dan's work, Dan is also the author of Eclipsing of Cyrus C and one of the stories in Rise of the European. Dan comes from a military background. He's got a lot of experience with a lot of different levels of the military. And when he writes the military elements into a story, it has this wow factor that you just don't get from somebody. I learned about how combat maneuvers happen from watching Saving Private Ryan, and there are some gaps when I decided to write military fiction that just don't exist in Dan's stories. So he also has done a tremendous amount in terms of expanding the universe and creating new environments for other authors to work in. So we really look forward to Dan's stuff. And Dawn, I want to stop by and visit. You have one project that you've done outside of Dryden House, but it was actually not Dryden at all. It was with Nick, who owns Owlman Press. But why don't you talk about that and talk about what you're involved in now?
Oh, Dawn, you're silent.
Yes, we see your lips move. There's a Pink Floyd song about that. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying.
Aha. There we go.
There you go. He's back.
I have did a supplement for the Big Damn Sci-Fi game with Owlman Press called The Anthology of the Other. It's basically a monster manual for the Big Damn Sci-Fi game.
Awesome.
And right now I'm working on some art for the Big Damn Space Battles.
Yes, which we will talk about more here in a minute. Awesome, awesome. And it seems like you were involved in some other project. What was that other project you were involved in? It slips my mind.
Yeah, that little thing called the Rise of the European.
Oh, Rise of the... What was that about, Don?
That is a pivotal event in the Dryden universe where the human race pretty well wears out its welcome on Jupiter's moon and gets evicted.
There's just no other way to
uh,
put it.
yeah, not politely either.
Mm-mm. No, the European just decides he's had enough, or it's had enough. Right on. Well, welcome. And thanks for joining us this evening. So when we look at who we are as a whole, the Dryden experiment, there's probably, I counted at one time, it's somewhere between 25 and 30 people who have contributed at some level. We've had artists who came in and gave a couple of pieces of art and wandered out, and authors who wandered in and offered a couple of stories and wandered out. And then we have people who really participate very regularly. Dan has been participating in the Dryden experiment since 2012, Dan, really since the start, I'd say.
Yeah, since the
Yeah,
start.
since the start. And I've been here since the start, and then other folks are here for different lengths of time. I've been here since the start, duh. All right, we work obviously with Owlman Press, for example, in Ballarat, Australia, and that's Nick Mall and participates heavily. Don works with us very closely on a lot of things. So we're kind of a mixed match of people. Some people are really here every day working on it, and other people kind of drift in and drift out. And that's very cool. As long as you'll honor the Creative Commons, and as long as you'll help support the people that you work with, that's totally fine with us. We're going to switch gears now and talk a little bit more about Dryden House, which is the company that Tracy and Gavin and I own, and a little bit about what's going on in House. And right now, probably 80% of what happens in Dryden happens through House. It's not always the case, but mostly so. What you're going to hear now is a lot of the sort of schedule of things that are coming for 2016, dates and events. And I've got just a couple of housekeeping bits. We gave final payment advice to everyone who is expecting a payment from us today. If you are expecting a payment from us and you didn't get an email from me, you need to get in contact with me because I don't know that I'm owing you money and I'm not going to send it to you. The one small group of folks that we have that will not be getting a payout yet are the Rise of the European folks. It released on the 30th, which was our last business day, and technically there's some revenue there, but we're not going to try to figure out how to split out, 5 minutes worth of revenue. All of that's going into the May revenue. Everybody else should have your final payment advice, and I will be paying this week. It's going to be Christmas presents for everybody. So if you're expecting payment from me, check your email, because you should have final payment advice. Then the other bit of business that I had is that the website, the much maligned, much talked about website, is up. It is 90% finished. I need to put some text into it. Gavin has done a fabulous job with the layout and the art. And then we will be parking the Dryden Experiment domain. We own drydenexperiment.com. We will be parking it on that website maybe this week. I'm not sure what it takes to actually get the domain parked, but we will finally have a formal submission process and a single website that you can go to find out about all the genre that we're running and all of the universes that we're running and all of the background. What it actually contains mostly is links out to other places to learn about those things, but we'll have a central hub finally, and absolutely the praise for that goes to Gavin. If you guys aren't used yet to just the fabulous work he does, he goes, "What do you guys think of this website?" And I'm like, yeah, okay, that'll do. Shit. So for those of you who are thinking these guys really need to get organized, it's happening. And I think, Tracy, you wanted to talk some business about our catalog.
Yeah. What we're doing is that for 2016, since we're developing a fairly large catalog every month, with the exception of months which we actually release a book, we're going to put one of our back catalogs on sale for a week. So this would be Alder's World 2, Rise of the European, Lorelei Will Never Die, etc., and so forth and so on. So between months until we start releasing a book a month, and then we'll just have to double up because we're funky that way.
Right on. And
Um,
we have also several books that are permanently free. The introductory version of Big Damn Dryden, the role-playing game, is perma-free. Alder's World Book 1 is perma-free.
mhm.
So, yeah. So we will have free and/or sale material available pretty much all the time going forward.
Right.
Right on.
So that being said, January, our first, I'm not going to go into other books that we'll be putting on sale, but in January we'll be putting Rise to Europe on sale. Since we did kind of release at full price on Black Friday.
We just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So we are going to be putting it on sale, and we're going to be running a bigger promotion for it. So look for that. Then I won't go into the schedule of the rest of the year because that'll just come as we get to it.
Right.
And then I'll let us know closer to that time.
So for all of you Rise of the European authors, what will happen is that sometime here around the first of the year, we will get you one of those flyers like we were doing before the release of the book, except it will say 99-cent sale and have the dates on it and links. So that will be for the electronic version. Obviously, we can't do the print version for 99 cents because we don't have that power. But we'll get the Smashwords and the Kindle version both marked down at the same time, and we'll get those dates on an advert for you guys then to share out with your friends and in the Facebook groups you're a part of and Twitter and blah, 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 to try to sort of revitalize that book. It didn't get enough attention because somebody launched it at full price on Black Friday. I don't know who could have done that. But it was a poo-poo. All right, so did we have any other sort of housekeeping stuff about Dryden, Tracy? If not, we're going to start talking about schedule.
No, I'm not going to go into the detail of which month we're going to put which book on sale until we get closer to it.
Right on. That's fine. So let's talk about the Dryden experiment schedule. Well, this is the Dryden House schedule. The vast majority of the things that we are publishing and promoting right now are in the science fiction universe, but we have one book out, Lorelei You'll Never Die, which is in our post-apocalypse universe, and we are hard at work on the horror universe, and we've got a lot of content. Tracy, you want to...
Yeah, actually, I have seen and talked to Fluffy Sama today about his story, and as a matter of fact, he's already revised it and sent it back to me. He said he'd have it by Monday, and he had it within like an hour and a half later.
Woo-hoo!
So
Go Fluffy.
Yeah,
Go Fluffy.
He's really excited about it, and so I haven't read the new edition of it yet, but it's coming. And then we received last week, I want to say, we received the submission from Kitty.
Yes.
And that was a good submission. And then we received a couple of days ago a partial submission from Laura Conrad.
Yes.
And we had a talk today because I love her. I love her to death, and I love her writing style, but she's writing a novel.
Right.
It has to be a novel. It has to be like multiple novels, the way I feel about it.
That wasn't a short story. Yeah.
No, but she's actually got a few ideas floating in her head about that particular story to do a short story on. So we'll hear from her soon. And I'm supposed to be talking to Damian Roach later tonight. And so I'll find out more about his submission tonight.
Right on. And then I have one, but I think I may change it and submit a different one. I'm actually participating in that one. I wrote the story about the girl who accidentally summons the demon.
And how many of them are his kids?
And then that's it. That's all I know. This is the Nightmares is actually your baby, even though I have talked to 3 people involved in it.
Right on. And the other author that we've got working on that one is Eugene Kelly, who's bringing the story Otu Anju, and the foundation story. So the draft is due December 31st, and we're pretty
January
close to there,
1st.
or January 1st, and we're pretty close to there. So that story is in very good shape. So then what do we have coming after that? That book doesn't actually publish until...
That book won't be published until probably May. That's the way the schedule is looking with the way Big Damn Dryden is coming out.
Okay.
It looks like May will be the welcome to Dryden Nightmares. But speaking of Nightmare, though, and I want to put this out there now,
Go for it.
throughout the year, we're going to be taking horror short story submissions because we want to do an annual horror anthology in October. So
Awesome.
throughout the year, we want to take submissions. So if anybody has any horror short stories that they want to submit, by all means, submit them at any time because we want to get it together and get it released in October.
Right on. Right on. Definitely. That's a great idea.
I know that's far in advance, but with something like this, the more submissions we get, the better the stories are going to be.
Well, and if we want to release it in the first week of October, we need to get that material in July.
Yeah,
You know.
that's true.
Yeah. And I don't think a decision has been made yet about whether that book will go directly to EPUB or if we'll take it to print, but I really like the idea of the annual nightmare anthology. You know, I mean, if South Park can have their annual Halloween adventure, why can't we? All right, so, but that's not the next thing that's coming in terms of publication schedule. I think the next on the schedule is actually...
Big Damn Space Battles.
Big Damn Space Battles. And we want to welcome Kat Hayward. Hey, Kat, hey. Let's make sure we get that name right. Kat Haywood. Kat Haywood was the artist who did Over the Top for Owlman Press, and we lost one of the authors one of the artists that we had lined up for Big Damn Space Battles. Nick recommended Kat, and Kat has agreed. I haven't seen Spaceships from Kat yet. I saw some of her other artwork before we brought her on board, and I'm really excited to have her with us. That makes our art team Dawn Van Osdal, Charlotte Garnier, and Kat Haywood. The layout will be done by Gavin Revitt, and the rule set will be done by Owlman. This is a really exciting project. This comes out of a conversation that Nick and I had just about a month ago, where I was talking about I would love to have a desktop minis game in our science fiction universe where people could battle away with their spaceships, but we're never going to print minis, you know, and we were kind of talking about it, and he said, well, what you would do is you'd do cards, like magic cards, and you'd put the rules for the spaceship on the card, and then any additions or expansions that modify the behavior of the spaceship would be on a separate card, and you just stack cards, and that's how you'd build your ships. And I sort of cursed at him and then told him that he was brilliant. And off we go. That Kickstarter will launch. We think we're actually going to delay the launch until the second week of January, and it will run through then the second week of February. We have rough draft and some finished draft from Dawn, and the other two artists I have seen draft material from Charlotte, but I haven't seen anything finished, and I have yet to see anything, obviously, from Kat because we're just getting her on board. The big to-do there right now is the point system and figuring out how much points different pieces of equipment cost. And Nick and I are probably not going to work on that this next week because it's Christmas, but I did get a tentative pointing schedule from him just to play with. You know, I'm going to sit down with cards now and start building spaceships just on paper and make sure that we get the numbering good before we take it to our playtesters because we want to make sure and present something that's actually sort of playable to those guys. So that's a really exciting project. And Tracy, we expect to release it then in
March.
In the end of March?
Beginning of March.
Well,
I mean, depending on how playtesting goes. If playtesting and everything goes pretty quickly, then Big Damn Space Battles can probably be out by the beginning of March. But in all likelihood, it's probably going to be closer to the end of March.
Right, because we're not going to close the Kickstarter until the second week of February at this point. So
Right. I'm just saying, if things go 100% smooth, which they never do, but if they did, it would be the beginning of March. But in the most likely scenario, it will be the very, very tail end of March, maybe the very first week of April at the latest.
Awesome. So that's a really exciting project. We're going to build a game of the complexity and sophistication of one of the X-Wing Star Wars mini games or Warhammer, and we're going to build it for the cost of a deck of cards. And that's just a lot of fun. That's a great formula. We'll come out initially with 3 decks, one for each of the 3 big corporations in the Dryden universe, and they will be unique decks with unique art, and then a lot of common cards too, but the spaceships will be unique. And then as we go into the future, we'll talk about expansions and how to handle that. And RPG Now will be handling the publishing for us, the printing rather. So. Very exciting project. All right. Well, what comes after that, Tracy?
Definitely on March 1st, we're going to need submissions from the Miss Okuda Appreciation Society anthology.
Yes. Do you want to talk about who Miss Okuda is?
Miss Lucy Okuda graces the cover of our Big Damn Dryden book. You can actually see several little postcards of her back there on the big pink room. But Miss Okuda just so happens to be...
There you go, Don. Don's got it. Speak, Don, so that your image will get bigger. Here, I can make your image bigger. Say, Don, that wouldn't happen to be the actual rule book, would it? No, that's the card.
But Miss Okuda is an Onobu geisha from feudal Japan. And after she had passed away, many years go by, when... she is picked up, and they use her body and her DNA to create Lucy. And Lucy is unpredictable. She is not very well manageable, and she is an amazing assassin who has the unique ability to erase her memories from the moment she accepts the assignment to the moment the assignment is over.
Right. So this woman from feudal Japan gets rebuilt in a cloning factory, and they can't control her, so she gets turned loose on the galaxy, and she becomes an assassin. The trick is that she has a full nano interweave in her brain, and from the time you put her onto an assignment till the time the assignment is completed, every single neural connection she makes is mapped. Then when the job is complete, they all get cut, and she completely forgets everything that she's done. So she works for Improved Carnival Supply, who tout her as the very best in security and confidentiality because she won't know what she did. And she started as an NPC in the role-playing game and became very popular and was the centerfold at Russell's Con and has her own Facebook page with like 30 sort of creepy followers. And so we're doing a short story collection, all stories. Don raises his hand. I'm the creepy follower. Hi, Don. Way to flag yourself, Don. And you want to talk about the authors that are participating in that?
Well, as of right now, I know that Gavin and Nick and you and myself and Damien and Eugene have all committed to having written a story for it. I've already accomplished it. Well, not that it's like out there and published or nothing, but I've already written it. It's already been submitted.
Yes. And
I did it as my NaNoWriMo for November. And yes. I didn't just write one story. I wrote 2.
Right. Yes. And we will publish one of them and then use the other one maybe on your blog or somewhere else. Really good stuff out of Tracy on that one. It was really enjoyable. The part that I'm going to do, and those of you who are watching this who are thinking about or are committed to writing stories for the Lucy Okuda project, I'm actually going to write the opening story. And one of the things that we're going to find out is true about Lucy is that she owns a rock out in Tianjin, an asteroid, and she has sort of a secret base, mausoleum, whatever you want to call it. She went back to Synapse Biocore, which is who did her cloning, and stole her own body. And the original Anabokeisha Okuda is there. Her body is there, and her body is there, and also she tends to keep souvenirs from projects that she's been on. So she doesn't know what the souvenir is or what the significance of the souvenir is. She just knows that when she was done with the job, this is the souvenir she had. So it's sort of like, I don't remember if you remember the Bat Cave where he had all of the souvenirs from all of the people that, all of the villains he defeated. Well, Okuda's got one too. So the opening story is going to be a very short story where for some reason she's had to take someone into the lair, and of course she's planning to kill them, but she explains to them first what it is that they're looking at and what they're seeing so that the reader understands as we get into the story who this Okuda character is and where she came from. We're really, really excited. The work that came out of Tracy was great. Gavin, among other bits of fabulousness, is really a very good author. I've never seen Nick's prose, but he's a really creative game designer, and he's going to write us a story for it. And then, of course, we've got Damien and Eugene behind us, too. So we've got a really pretty powerful team working on that project. And we're wanting rough draft when, Tracy?
We want the first draft due by March 1st, and we're looking at potentially releasing it in June or July.
Awesome. So, great project. What's next on the agenda?
And in April, Alders World 3 will be released.
I don't know. Do you think that guy's actually going to write that?
Well, so far he's in process. I've talked to him a few times.
You know, I think he's kind of lazy. I don't know if he's going to actually do it. That's my project, so I'm responsible for that. I have finally hit the point. My writing process is that I start a story and I write whatever the inspiration was, and then I wander away, sometimes for years at a time, until the rest of it sorts itself out in its head. And I sat down 2 nights ago, Tracy, 3 nights ago?
3.
And got past that hurdle, and I'm now where I can just write the story. So it'll come quickly. I'm at 6,000 and some words, and it'll probably be a 30,000 word third piece. The 1 is free on Smashwords right now, and 2 is available for sale every place on the planet that you buy books, and 3 will be coming in April. Woo! And I've seen rough draft of the cover by Gavin Revitt. So that project's doing well. What's next?
Well, then next we have, of course, the release of Miss Okuda Appreciation Society Anthology, which will be June or July. Then we have the unknown. We know they're coming, but we don't have an exact date on them yet. It's a little further out. We have the Gory Details, which will be going in the horror universe.
Yes.
We have an unknown Laura Conrad book.
Yes.
And
we may have just changed today.
that we may have just changed today. So we're not 100% sure where it's going to go or what it's going to be just yet, but she is definitely writing. And then we have Big Damn Dryden, Patrons and Vassals, and that's actually going to be coming out a little bit earlier than July, but we're not exactly sure the date yet because a lot of this is hinging on how Big Damn Space Battle is going.
Right.
Because there's a lot of creative flow and a lot of energy has to be put to that game first. So that being said, Patrons and Vassals is going to be coming out before June or July, but we're not exactly sure when. And then we have Russell, who just announced tonight that he will be coming to us with Age Plus.
Right.
And then we have the horror anthology, the annual horror anthology that will be coming out in October. And then we have a steampunk anthology, which will come out whenever. So if anybody has any steampunk that they wish to write and put into us, you will be creating canon. So right now, anything goes. So
right on.
Send it on. And the same thing with the Periogan anthology, which is our multifaceted fantasy universe. You will basically be creating canon. So if you have any that you'd like to send to us, please do.
Right on. And the concept behind fantasy, we have the roots of a role-playing game for a periogon, and a periogon is an infinitely sided polygon. So what Nick has done with Owlman is he's written the basic rule set. Well, he started the basic rule set. And he's described this universe where you have a fantasy plane, which is one of the surfaces of the Periogon. But then if you go down into the dungeons and you're not careful, you actually come out on some other plane. And this way we'll be able to allow literally an infinite number of fantasy authors to interweave and work together. We perceive that as a really big project and keep going, okay, we'll do it after. Okay, just scoot it back just a little bit. Okay, just maybe next summer. Maybe, but we will eventually develop a Periogon. The only thing that I didn't hear that's coming, and it doesn't have a date, we have started to have quite a body of role-playing material available for Big Damn Dryden. Nick has 3 different scenarios that he's built as test scenarios or other scenarios. And the Manhattan Playtest Group has got something going called the Citadel that they will eventually submit. And what we're going to do is we get those and get them ready and edited. Is we will release them directly to eVersion through Smashwords, or not through Smashwords, through RPG Now, just as a 99-cent, pick it up for $1. We've arranged for cover design from Gavin to just have the sort of interchangeable covers so that we can very quickly lay them out. And what I've told everybody is that we're going to do it. We're going to do it fast. We're going to do it whenever we get one. It's a very lightweight process from our end, but we're not going to start till February because we've got to get through that Kickstarter for Big Damn Space Battles, and those things are time and energy hogs. But we will on Smashwords start just appearing with 99-cent role-playing scenarios specifically set in the Dryden universe, and we really want to have conversations going on between the authors and Nick. Some of the very coolest things that come out of Dryden come out of the stories, and we think there's a great territory for cross-promotion to have a short story or an element from a novel appear in a role-playing scenario, and then the role-playing scenario becomes an advertisement for the book that the event came out of, and the book becomes an advertisement for Big Damn Dryden. So we really want to encourage people, if you've got a cool environment or cool story that you've written, let's get Nick rolled up in it and get it converted into game stats, and get that bad boy launched. And in fact, if you want to develop that yourself, Nick has made it clear that he's really very open to other people bringing that material. And he's demonstrated that. Russell's got a pretty large expansion that he's working on, and Nick is behind him and supporting him on that. So we do definitely want to continue to expand the role-playing game that way. All right. What did I miss, Tracy? How did I do?
I know that Nick is also looking at making a expansion of sorts, including the other eras.
Yes.
And that will be also coming out next year.
In the science fiction universe, so 2017?
No, 2016.
2016. So in the science fiction universe, we sort of divided up into 4 eras because we wanted to be able to tell sort of hard sci-fi and cyber noir stories, sort of human-focused, human-centered science that makes sense to people. But we know that a whole lot of science fiction is space opera or space fantasy or other things. So what happens is from today through the year 2700, humans expand sort of slowly into space. It looks a little bit kind of Star Trek, except it's almost exclusively humans. It's very sort of cyberpunk, cyber noir. But then in the year 2700, after the rise of the Europe, the rules change. Humans lose control of the central planets that they have had control of. They get spread all throughout the galaxy. We start to encounter a lot more aliens. The tech gets very soft. We stop asking how, what was it that Greta wanted to use? She's got a dimensional drive in her books.
Something like that.
Yeah, she set a set of books out 25,000 years in the future, Demon's Eye and A Matter of Trust. We don't know how the technology works. It's space opera. Well, then we also wanted to tell horror stories, so the Technoprey rise up and the Scourge rise up, and the whole galaxy gets eaten in the dark, which happens 40,000 years in the future. And then we go into Codex 2, and Codex 2 is rules off. No rules. You want flying space dragons, you got them. You want Thundercats, Thundercats is licensed, but build your own Thundercats. We don't care. It's places for people with big imaginations to get out and just write crazy stuff and have a lot of fun. So what Nick wants to do is a role-playing book that is the foundations of all of the time frames and how they would be different, and what different things you would see from a role-playing perspective, and then scenarios set in each. And that's a big step forward for us in terms of evolution of the science fiction universe and getting those other time periods established. And he thinks he can do it in 2016. The man's a madman. But, you know, more power to him if he can. So that's awesome. At this point, Dryden House's main job is to keep up with Nick. All right. What else? Have we missed anything? Anybody have topics that we didn't cover?
I think that's all I've got.
All right. The last bit that I've got kind of as a throw out, we continue to look for cons to work with. We like indie cons, and we like to support indie cons. I have about 200 of those postcards that Dawn was holding up just now that I didn't send to a con because I couldn't get them to consistently answer my emails, and I didn't want to give them a whole bunch of flyers and then just lose them. So if you're working on a project or an event or a con, or you know somebody who blah, 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 whatever, let me know, and I'll send you 200 postcards and support you that way. Eugene Kelly III, how are you this evening?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Well, Eugene, we were just wrapping things up.
Yeah, I was just gonna come by towards the end, you know, to see what was happening.
Right on. Well, we're having a hell of a time. Are there things that you would like to know? We're still on the broadcast, but we're just about to drop it. Are there critical things that you would want people to know?
Well, let me think. The only thing, as I say, this week has been super, super hectic. But I have started an official outline for my Okuda story. I've nailed down about maybe 95 to 99% of the alien species that I'm creating.
Awesome.
Which I'm going to put in this one. I also, and we can talk about this maybe after the broadcast, about how I might think of weaving it into sort of the period between the Bell Epic, this transfer from the Primer to the Bell Epic. I mean, as I said, I want to write all this stuff down. This last week has been like an earthquake for me. An earthquake, but an earthquake nonetheless.
Right on.
But beyond that, that's really been I've been thinking about putting this. This stories really start to come together in my head and have started to sketch it out.
Excellent, excellent. I have seen rough draft of the cover of the Miss Akuta story.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's unlike anything you've ever seen Gavin do before because, you know, just infinitely talented is not good enough for him.
Okay.
It looks great. It looks great. We're not sharing it around yet because we're not sure that's what he's going to do, but that guy's got talent. All right. Well, everybody, I want to thank you very much for joining us. And if there are no other comments, I'm going to go ahead and kill the broadcast, and we can just hang out and chat. Final thoughts, last comments, things that you want, you know, the 10 people who will watch this later to know?
Well, I'm gonna interject here. We were talking about the Miss Akuta short stories.
Yes.
Since I'm working on my H+ project, all of her augmentations, I guess is the best way to put it. First of all, she's a clone, and that's very much transhumanist.
Yes.
And then all of the augmentations she's picked up, I'm planning on including practically all of that within the H+ book, so the players from Big Damn Dryden will be able to experience some of that for themselves. They won't be able to create their own Miss Akuta because she's so unique, but you'll be able to enjoy and play some of the experiences she has.
That's excellent. Russell, do you have a copy of Eclipsing of Cyrus C?
Yes, I do. Fantastic book. I'm getting a lot of my reader friends. I'm getting a lot of really rave reviews on it. Thumbs up to Dan from myself and my companions around here that read. They're all very impressed, and myself included.
That is the best description of juice that I have read, and juice is a real sort of fundamental augmentation that's pretty universally available in Dryden. And Nick has rules for juice.
Yes.
In the Dryden universe, or in the Big Damn Dryden. But if you wanted to expand on augmentations, when I look at Lucy, well, and also Dan's creepy ass assassin from Rise of the European is hyped up on juice too. She's got so much of it in her, she's lost her mind. But when I look at Lucy, what I think she is I think she's a clone with a neural interweave, but that most of her other enhancements are juice enhancements. She's used nanobots to give her the abilities that she wants. I personally think she's a little bit of a purist, which sounds odd since she's a clone, but I personally think that she would prefer to just be that good herself. That's my feeling.
I can see that.
But she does definitely have a neural interweave. She is definitely a clone, and she's got ready access to any kind of juice that she should ever want. So, yeah, awesome. Have you also read the psychic weapons rules from the Bleeding Mind?
Not yet. I haven't gotten my personal copy of that yet. I need to actually order mine. But no, not yet.
Let's just go ahead and hook you up with one. Tracy, can you make sure that Russell gets a copy of the Bleeding Mind PDF?
Yes, I can get him one.
Awesome, gang. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. We'll just go
I'll
ahead
just
and do
need
that.
to get your email address. Send it to me on Facebook.
Okay, that'll work.
We'll call that a research expense.
Okay, whatever you want to call it.
Right on. We'll get that to you. He talks in there about how you use cybernetics specifically to enhance your psychic abilities, but I think you'll find that it's sort of generalizable to the other things that you want to do.
Oh yeah, sounds like it.
Right on. So we'll make sure that you get that bit that you need behind you. All right, let's try this call again. Anybody else with anything exciting that we need to broadcast to the entire world? Otherwise, we're just going to hang out and chat. All right. Hearing none, we are at the end of this broadcast. This is Joel signing off from my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots. Thanks very much for joining us this week, everybody.